One for private plan change from Fletcher Residential to rezone at Felton Matthew Avenue, St John's. David Wong is the principal planner with Celia on this. Is it for you to introduce David or Celia? David? And I'll look at the outset, I'll say, members, this is supported by the local board.
Yes, so this is a private plan change request. It's to rezone 4,380 square metres from light industrial to mixed housing suburban, and this is in the Felton Matthew Avenue, which is part of the St John's area. And the reason the site is owned by Fletcher Residential Limited. They're the applicant, and the reason why they want to rezone it is that the site itself is too small, and because of constraints associated with the site to provide for viable industrial use of the actual land. The mixed housing suburban zone is one that will be the same as the residential properties to the north and to the west of the site. The Ōrākei Local Board are not opposed to the proposal. They have raised an issue around the opportunity for pedestrian access to the shared pathway, and the applicant is willing to consider that as part of any future resource consenting for the request. I'm happy to take any questions through the chair.
So just clarification, any update from the board? So in the written report, it's the board is not opposed. I said it supported it. That's not correct. It does not oppose it. Is there any update?
No, there is no
That's
update.
the position of the board?
That is the position of the board.
Okay. And moving it. Do I have a second, please? Councillor Cooper, thank you. Questions, members? Favour, say aye. Aye. Contrary, no. Declare that carried. Thank you. Going to item 12. And that's an update on appeals and making parts of the plan operative. Celia, this is your good work?
Yes. This is just to update the committee on the outcome of the 2 appeals that we had against decisions on the unitary plan in relation to the special character provisions. This was an appeal by Housing New Zealand, and also an appeal by Royal Forest and Bird against some of the SEA provisions in the plan. The decision in relation to the Housing New Zealand appeal, that was sent back to the Environment Court for a final decision, and the Environment Court did not uphold our addition of an objective into the RPS, and so that objective has now will be removed, but they did add some additional explanation and reasons, and also they added another policy to note that the purpose of the special character areas is to manage character and amenity values, that it does have some heritage, but it isn't about heritage. So that was the decision that came through, and so we're going to make the update to the plan to reflect that. The other one is the Royal Forest and Bird, and I have got Marilyn here if anybody wants to ask any questions in relation to that. But there were 2 appeals there, and the Fulton and Hogan appeal, which is in relation to the Brookby Quarry, was not resolved. So that's it's set down for a hearing in March to look at that appeal again. and then, but the one in relation to the Clevedon quarry has been resolved through a consent order. So we're taking those, we're asking for your recommendations so we can now change the unitary plan to reflect that. In relation to the SEAs and also in relation to some genetically modified organisms appeal that happened, we brought to you on the 7th of August last year. That now has to go through another process, which is going back to the Minister of Conservation for approval prior to public notification of the changes to the plan. So if there's any questions, happy to answer them.
Thank you, Celia. And noting the outstanding appeals, we've got 14 in the environment.
Sorry, just in relation to that, it's actually 15.
15 in the Environment Court,
Yeah.
6 in the High, 2 judicial review proceedings and 2 Court of Appeal. And that's incredible progress.
So just in relation to that, Karina did provide us with some additional information around the appeal that's not on that list. So I could give that to Kalinda and we could add it in if that's
Okay,
what's wanted.
we'll amend that. Is there a... I'm inviting a mover, seconder for those motions. Deputy Mayor and Councillor Wayne Walker moved and seconded. Question. Okay, I'll second. Councillor Hills will second. Question from Councillor Wayne Walker.
Sure. So just around the genetically modified organisms. When I was at the Planning Committee meeting, I'm not entirely familiar with what needs to be addressed here. So I'd certainly appreciate a refresh around that. That's not something that needs to happen now.
I haven't got that information now, so I can provide that to you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You no further questions? I'll put that to the vote then. All those in favour say aye. 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 Contrary, no. And declare that carried. Thank you. And thanks to the team for the work you've been doing progressing all those appeals. It's tremendous success I think we've all had. Item 13, and this is to make what's been a relatively simple small plan change operative at King's College.
Yes, so this is, it was a private plan change to rezone land for King's College. It was land adjoining Mangere Road, which they wanted to move from special purpose school to terrace housing and apartment.
Can you put your mic on?
Sorry, yeah. So they also wanted to change some of their land, which was previously golf course land, which they wanted to bring back to a special purpose school zone. So that went through a hearing process. There were 4 submissions received, and the decision was that the rezoning be granted, and there were no appeals on that decision. So now the plan change can be made operative. There is a map at the end of the report which does show the bits of land that were subject to rezoning.
Thank you. Councillor Filipino, would you like to move?
Yes, I will. Thank you.
Do I have a second, please? Deputy Mayor, it's moved and seconded. Questions? Straightforward, I think. Shall we put it to the vote? All those in favour say aye. Aye. Contrary, no. Declare that carried. Thank you. And 14, I think that's straightforward. Do I have a move? Mayor Goff will move, seconded by Councillor Clow. Thank you. And put that to the vote. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Contrary, no. And declare that carried. Just before we conclude the agenda, and this is the last item, I'll just check. I just need to check. We have completed our business. Jim Quinn on my left here, this is his last formal meeting in his role of director, and I want to just extend personally and on behalf of the committee, Jim, a real acknowledgement for the anchor that you've given to me as chair and as Councillor Hills as deputy and the whole of the committee in navigating some pretty difficult courses over your tenure here on the director executive leadership team of Auckland Council's management, and I think we've witnessed your phenomenal experience in the private sector, being director of private companies and public companies, and of course your long experience at Kiwi Rail, understanding of logistics, just an incredible network that you have, a meshing of understanding and knowledge which is pretty hard to challenge. And I have worked with you closely, and I have always appreciated the well-considered advice, the informed advice, and advice that has steered this committee to achieve the very best outcomes for Auckland as a whole. So, Jim, we wish you the very best in next steps in life, and we all convey our deepest and sincerest appreciation for your contribution to Auckland. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. She'll welcome for Megan next time, I think, because next meeting, Megan Tyler is in the helm for the management for this committee. So, and we will record that acknowledgement in the minutes and close the meeting. Thank you.